What up YouTube, and welcome to my YouTube channel. It's your boy Khan God King here with a different type of video. I'm not playing any games today. Today I'm going to show you guys how to overclock an NVIDIA graphics card. The graphics card that I'm using at the moment is a GTX1080 OC edition. Now I want to show you guys exactly how I overclock it and the difference between having it stock standard and overclocked. So first of all, I use a program called MSI Afterburner, and as you can see here, it lets you play around with the settings. You've got voltage control, the power limit, there's a temperature limit, the core clock, and the memory clock. So everything's on stock at the moment except the fan. I've cranked the fan up to 100. I always do when I'm benchmarking, but I've left everything standard. So I wanted to show you what happens, or what the difference is as well, stock versus overclocked. So I'm using a program called 3D Mark 11, as you can see here. Now what 3D Mark 11 does is it bench stress tests your graphics card, your processor, and your RAM, and a few other sort of things as well. And it goes through a series of tests, and now it tests things like your graphics card, so you get a score for graphics card, and then it gives you a physics test, so it tells you what your computer's capable of running and how high the performance is. And then lastly, they do a combined test, which is your processor and your graphics card combined in one test to give you a score showing you how they run together. So as you can see here, it's just going through the few different types of testing. I believe there's 4 or 5 different benchmarks per test that show you. Now down the bottom here, you can see there is a FPS counter, there's frames and a time. So the time's just showing you how long it takes basically. The FPS is the most important thing. Now FPS stands for frames per second if you're unaware. Now the higher the frames, the better. As you can see, I'm hovering above that 120 frames mark, which is quite good. And you know, the GTX 1080 is no slouch. It's probably one of the best graphics cards you can buy. Now, it's just going to continue going through the tests, but I want you to see the score that I achieve with it on stock standard, and then I want to ramp up with a substantial overclock to see does the score go up, does it stay the same, is it worth overclocking, or should you just run it at stock standard. Now from my experience, I overclock everything. It's what I'm passionate about. I love beating other people in benchmarks and trying to have the best PC type thing. But for anyone that's not tried this yet, I just wanted to show you how easy it is and the significance of overclocking and how much more gaming performance and points you can get in benchmarks. Now the test won't be too much longer. It's just got this graphics test here, and then it'll do a physics test on the processor, then a combined test at the end. But as you can see, it's running quite good. The fan for the processor is all the way up. I'm using the Ryzen 7 1700, which is overclocked to 3.75 gigahertz at the moment. Now I can achieve 3.9 gigahertz, but it does cause my video rendering to crash. So I always drop it back when I'm making videos. And it'll be the same for both benchmarks I show you anyway, so that won't have a factor on the score. Now it's about to do, here's the CPU test here. It looks a bit horrible, but it is only testing the processor. It's not using any of the graphics card at all at the moment. But just while I was going, I just want to let you know, guys, know that Ryzen itself is a pretty good platform and a pretty good processor. Like I said, I'm using the Ryzen 7 1700, which is the 3rd best AMD processor you can get at the moment, and it's pretty good. 8 cores, so lots of performance. I use it for all my gaming videos. I use it for my video rendering as well, so it is quite good. And the GTX 1080 I'm using is made by a company called Galaxy. It is the cheapest one on the market, but from my benchmark experience, it's probably one of the best. It stays cool, it yields really high results. I can play pretty much any game I want on 4K, either high or ultra, so I'm super happy with it. So that's finished now. And as you can see up the top here, it's given me a score of 21,029. So the graphics score is 28,214, physics score is 11,617, and the combined score is 12,410. And if I scroll down, you can see here that the processor is on 3.75. It's got my memory, my motherboard and stuff. So what I'll do is I'm just going to bring up a notepad. So we're just going to take these scores here, and then we'll be able to directly compare them to the next lot that I get. Alright, so overclocking the graphics card. So like I said, it is quite simple. And I'm going to show you how, using this utility here, MSI Afterburner. So we'll leave the fan on 100%. Now, I'm going to do it without even touching the voltages. Playing around with voltages on a GPU or graphics card is quite risky. You're putting more power through the card, which makes it hotter, and it can kill it essentially if you put too much power through it. Power limit I'll leave to the same amount as well. The temperature limit though, I'm going to turn up. So 92 degrees is the maximum. So if the card gets to 92 degrees, it can throttle and decrease your megahertz. So if it exceeds 92 degrees, it'll heat throttle, and then it'll drop your megahertz down, which will give you a lesser score. So that's why I've maxed it out at 92. Now with the core clock, what I'm going to do is add an extra 200 megahertz. And with the memory clock here, I'm going to add a extra 550 megahertz. So I click the tick, which saves that. Now I'm just going to open up another utility real quick called GPU-Z, made by Tech Power Up. And I'll just quickly show you here. So if you look at these scores here, the default clock is 1658. I've now overclocked it to 1858, the 200 megahertz higher. The memory 1251, and then it's gone up to 1389. Boost. Now boost is when you're running an application like the benchmark which I was showing you, it does boost. So it'll start off at this clock here on the left, and then using boost it'll ramp up to that or more. But you can see there's a significant difference between stock standard and what I've done. So that's applied. So we're going to run the benchmark again, and I'll show you the score difference and sort of how it works. So that was the first score we got there. So I'm just going to put that at the top of my notepad file. So that score with those stats. Alright, so let's run the test again. So nothing has changed other than increasing the core voltage. The core megahertz on the graphics card and increasing the memory. Now just looking at the FPS as well, you're going to notice a huge difference. Now it's going up to about 200 and it's staying well above where it was at stock standard. And it will yield a massive score, but I wanted to show you guys how much difference it is. And if anyone wants any help or sort of has any questions about overclocking, leave a comment on YouTube for me. I'll happily reply to anyone that does comment. So if there is some help you need in overclocking your particular parts, let me know, because I might know about them. I might be able to assist you, give you some advice or something, and I'm happy to do it. So make sure you do leave a comment. So we're just running the second test as well, which also has high FPS. Now it is a bit boring waiting, so I hope these weird MSI submarines are keeping you amused, but unfortunately you can't make the test go any quicker. Now, I do need to say though that overclocking in general isn't the most safe thing. So if you plan on doing it, read lots of guides. You know, there's thousands and thousands of posts on the internet about people that would have overclocked your exact parts. Read what they say, see what's safe, stay below the safe zone unless you're experienced in doing it. Because overclocking in general makes all your parts run hotter. It stresses them out more. So it can damage your parts if you don't know what you're doing. So don't just go and download Afterburner, chuck some massive settings in, and then go and play games or something. I guarantee you it'll either kill your parts, or whatever you're doing will lock up and your PC will crash. So just be smart about it, and I take no responsibility if you kill your computer. That's not my problem, basically. That's something you've chosen to do. But like I said, happy to help if you do need any advice. So this is the fourth graphics test. The frames there look low, but this one is the hardest out of the four tests. And then we've just got two more, and then I'll show you the results. And if anyone else out there has a Ryzen processor, let me know what you guys achieved. How high did you overclock it? Were you able to up the voltages by a lot? Unfortunately, on my motherboard, I can't up the voltages anymore. Asus decided to lock it, which is extremely annoying. But other than that, it is a great motherboard. But it does have its limitations when it comes to overclocking. But yeah, I'd love to hear from other people around. What did you achieve? You know, benchmarking results even. So this is the last test here. Like I said, combines the CPU and GPU workload to give that combined test score. Okay, so here it goes. Alrighty, it's finished. So let's have a look. You saw what I got the first time with no overclocking at all. Let's see what I get now. So I can see the tab there. So the first test I got 21,029. With that overclock I did, it has gone up to 21,553. Now looking at the first one, 28,214 graphics score. And you can instantly see it's now 30,445, so it's significantly increased, which is great, and it yielded a better score. So that's pretty much it, and all I did to achieve that is literally just up the core clock and the memory clock. I never touched anything else. Core voltage remains exactly the same, nothing else changed. So let me know what you guys think. If you need any advice, let me know. Please like my video, share it, subscribe to my channel, tell your mates. Thanks for watching and stay positive. Thank you. Bye.